Hello everybody, my name is Pravus and welcome to Creeper World 4. This is an interesting mix of a real-time strategy tower defense puzzle game. That's kind of the best way I can describe it. Creeper World is a very well-known franchise, and those who are fans of the series tend to be really emphatic about it. In fact, we've had a couple of members of the Discord server who have been asking me to play a Creeper World game for a good 2 or 3 years now at this point. Well, number 4 just released earlier this month, so I figure this is the perfect time to make your dreams come true. Let's go ahead and jump into one of the main maps. Now, the story of this game is a little obtuse. We are playing as a scientist who is working on a rift jump project on Mars, but then the creep, this bizarre blue purplish goo, suddenly landed on Mars and began to swarm and destroy the colony. So we had to make an emergency jump. We are on a weird alien planet. I have discovered some AIs which are trying to guide me to the destruction of the creep. And we're trying to find a way back home to Mars, but every jump up to this point has been a failure. Now, this is currently the base map. The creep has not yet spawned. It will as soon as we unpause. Here's a couple of emitters over here. These guys are going to be spawning some of the purplish goo, which has liquid physics, so it's going to naturally flow down to the lowest point. To that extent, setting up my base on the high ground is probably a very sensible thing for us to do to make sure that we are going to be nice and safe. And I'll place down right over here, which is going to allow me to access a stockpile of some extra energy so I build things out faster, as well as gather up some red crystal I'll be used to manning some guns later. Alright, let's see, what's this here? We got a special hazard. A special type of creeper is hardened and resistant. We need to have a special type of weapon in order to nullify that. So that's going to be fun. Alright. So now that we have our base set up, one thing I'm going to do is set up a whole bunch of these energy towers. Now, energy towers function kind of like highways for your resources. They are necessary in order to build anything and also supply your turrets with ammunition. So we need a bunch of these, but also, as we spread out across the map, the more zones, territory in the map we have controlled under these energy towers, the more soylent we are going to be generating. That is the special resource of this game, and the soylent is used in order to man, well, pretty much everything else. So I'm going to go ahead and try to cover a reasonable amount of the map as such. This blue stuff over here can also be mined using a miner to generate more soylent, but you need lots of the stuff in order to supply all of your turrets, build stuff faster, get more ammunition, etc., etc. It's all very, very crucial. Let's go ahead and set up a quick little energy path down over here. I imagine we're going to lose this very quickly, but I'd like to grab whatever this AI core is. I feel like it might be important. It also might not. I really have no idea. I also see down here there's a special, almost temple-looking structure. We're going to go ahead and set down an energy path over here so we can control it, whatever it is. And also, I see there's a special blue energy barrier right here on this particular map. This will hold back the creep, at least temporarily, but it will wear down, and once it goes away, the creep will be able to flood into the base. And since this is all low ground, we'll lose everything here. So I'm kind of thinking that maybe what we want to do is set up a whole bunch of these turrets so that we can take the high ground over here kind of early on. And then maybe we can hold back the creep and keep this blue barrier in order to keep myself alive a little bit longer, enjoy a lot of extra resources because we're going to control a lot of extra territory. So that's what I'm going to go for over here. These guys are relatively cheap. I'm not worried about being too overly efficient with them, but there we go. So let's just go ahead and set a bunch of this up. I haven't unpaused the game yet, but I'm just getting all this set and ready to go. All right, so this seems fine. Let's go ahead and unpause, and what's going to happen is my rift is going to build up, then it's going to generate soylent and immediately start sending it to build up towers. The towers are going to set up a zone of control, and you're going to see my soylent production start to go up. So here comes the main base done. We are now sending resources out. These towers are getting finished. You can see them now increasing how much we are generating. Right now we're using more than we make, but that is completely fine. It's going to get me a good, fast start. So all this is currently going out, and in the meantime, the emitters are letting out the goo. So we're going to have to watch out for this. This, again, will follow gravity down to the lowest points naturally. So high ground is helpful, but it's going to be a bit of a slog for me to actually punch this stuff out once it does flood everywhere. All right, we just got that little AI box that was over here, so there's a special personal log. Nice. I don't know how important it actually is, but it's kind of cool that it exists. And note, by the way, you can see that the resources naturally are getting spread out based on where they are needed. Okay, so we have managed to generate a fair bit more. Let's also get some of these miners set up. Along here, I think we'll do fine. We can always rotate this. I messed that up slightly, but that's all right. I'm not worried too much. Let's just set up as much as we can and get a bunch of those going. I don't want to use up too much, or otherwise it's going to slow down the rest of my construction. But if we can get these mines going, we'll start generating a heck of a lot more, and that will be very nice for me. Let's go ahead and also start setting up some cannons. You can see the range of these cannons, and these guys are going to be used to push back the creep to start us off, and I want to make sure we are covering as much of the blue wall as possible to make sure that nothing is able to break through. There's a little red line that connects these to towers. The towers have to supply the turrets, so that's why you need to make sure that these guys are placed near the energy towers. Also note that, sure enough, the wall is starting to get burned down a little bit here. A tower just finished, a cannon just finished, is supplying ammunition over here right about now. There it is, and now it's going to start shooting away the creep. As the creep gets pushed away from the wall, then this stuff will start to regenerate, and we should be able to hold this position for a good long while. Now, I do have to worry about these little guys right here, some spore launchers. Spore launchers are going to launch aerial attacks against us, and we want to shoot those down. So I'm going to set up a factory over here, and it's going to take the red Redong ore that we are already mining in our base. It's going to send it to the factory and turn it into a special type of ammunition, which will go in my missile turrets, which you can see right along here. Will create sort of a shield for me. Now, these towers down here at the bottom are blowing up because, sure enough, you can see the creep is spreading. Nothing I can really do about that at the moment. I kind of expected that to go. I just wanted to grab the AI box before it was too late. And sure enough, we are able to push all the goo away from our our blue barrier. So we're set to go there. Now, I do need to make sure this area doesn't start flooding, so I'm going to go ahead and set up a few mortars. These guys are nice because they do a lot of damage and they have really good range. So I like having some of them whenever I can. They tend to be the best way of pushing back some of the goo. Over here, I'm not too worried about things getting lost. That's A-okay with me. Let's set up, you know what we're going to do? We're going to set up some pylons. Now, pylons are special long-range towers. They have extra range, so you can cover more ground on them if necessary. But the other thing that's really great about them is they are a faster highway for the resources to get transferred around, including your ammunition and stuff. So setting up a few of these can certainly be quite nice just to make sure that your guns are supplied a little bit faster. But otherwise, I think we were able to set up pretty quickly, and I don't feel like I have to worry too much about this. Now comes the slog of the game. Once you've actually got this stuff more or less held back, comes the point where we have to gradually keep pushing forward further and further with more and more of these guns, and push them back until we can secure specific choke points and major objectives. So I'm going to set up a bunch of mortars over here to fight this stuff back. Where possible, let's make sure that our main base is going to be okay. Shouldn't be a problem. I think we're actually in a fine spot right now. And let's make sure we have plenty more resources just by setting up a few more of these miners. And I'll go ahead and set up a bunch of them right along here. That's taking up a lot of our generation, it's true, but it is going to also produce a lot. The spores are now shooting some stuff off. You can see it traveling right over here. If it lands, it puts some goo on the ground, which spreads out, and that can be rather detrimental. But that is, of course, why we have some... let's leave this here. It's why we have some of these missile turrets, and they shot them down. As long as we keep them supplied with ammunition, we're gonna be fine. One nice little thing to note. If you are making good progress pushing back the creep and you don't want to waste these turrets or build new ones, you can reposition them and they can just kind of lift off and float away, kind of like so. So once we have a good number of turrets already set up, we can just keep slowly pushing them forward in a giant game of tug-of-war until we win. You know what, let's make sure we set up another long-range pylon right over here to get a few more mines in this zone like so. Now, speaking of winning, you might be wondering, well, how does one win this sort of a game? Good question. The way that you win is fulfilling these objectives. In this case, we have to activate some totems located right over here. Now, in order to activate these totems, we need to have the creep completely gone from them, connect them up to our energy highway, and also supply them with a resource called Liftic. Liftic is going to be provided to us if we can mine the Greenar Mother over here and use a refinery to turn that into Liftic at our factory. And that is going to be supplied to these guys in order to activate the towers, which will set up the next rift generation so we can jump to the next map. So this has got to be our next major objective. Then we just need to keep pushing until we are fine. Thank you, missile turrets, for protecting me. Much appreciated. Case in point, we have managed to secure this ground, so we should be able to set up a refinery fairly safely. I'll have a couple of extra turrets nearby if I can to keep this pushed back, but there we go. Once this gets built up, which should be just a little bit longer, Like so. We should see that as soon as some quote-unquote ammunition arrives, which is about now, it should start gathering up some of that green crystal for us. There it is. Getting mined out and drilled out. That's going to get sent to the factory, and that's going to start stockpiling some liftic. Okay, so we met that objective. Now we need to start pushing as aggressively as we can. If we can shut down these emitters and get rid of the source of the creep, well then, we're going to be in a pretty dominant position. Now, I did say earlier that this part of the game is kind of a slog, and that's because at this point, as long as you just kind of progress cautiously and don't overextend yourself, or perhaps ignore some, imposing danger and leave behind a flank or something like that, it's pretty much not challenging from here on out. It's more or less just kind of a race against the clock. If there is any, like, goal or reward in this game, it's really just to say that you get to be one of the fastest at playing this. So if you want to go for a time, challenge, like, that's probably the most enjoyment you're going to get out of this. Some maps, however, do actually present, like, an immediate danger, and you kind of need to be able to read the situation and work fast. Otherwise, you're just going to have to restart until you figure out the trick to a particular scenario. Those are my favorite maps because those are the ones that actually do require a bit of strategy and foresight as opposed to, effectively, just brute strength, which, there's something to be said about that, but I prefer to be properly challenged. Now, as we keep pushing closer and closer to some of these little objectives over here, what we can do is now set up something called a nullifier. Now, this has a relatively short range, but if you can set up one of these and supply it with some ammunition, then it completely negates this thing. It doesn't kill it, but at least removes it from the fight. And the goal is ultimately to get these over to the emitters, because that makes life a heck of a lot easier. In this case, though, setting up one of these next to the spore launchers means we don't have to worry about any more aerial attacks. Not that I'm really worried about them to begin with, but just as a matter of principle, we should probably shut it down. Okay, here we go. Now we're pushing into a position where I'm bombarding the emitter. Again, it's not going to kill this thing, but we can at least control how much this goo is able to get around, and that's going to start starving this entire area. Let's also set up a nullifier since we are in position, and that's going to make my life easier. Note, by the way, that these weird little crystal things that we're creating, the resistant pink goo, once there's no goo around them, in order to keep them sustained, they start to die off and disappear, which is great. So we're able to at least start removing these from the battlefield, and we're almost over to one of our first pylons. We did, I think, just almost get shot by one of these spore crawlers, but fortunately we had a missile turret nearby, and we were able to protect ourselves. Okay, in the meantime, while that thing is getting set up, you can see the liftic is being sent over to our first totem, which is getting gradually charged up. Once it's charged up, it's going to create a little force field where the goo can't go. There it is, and it's going to start being banished from this area. So this becomes kind of like a safe point as long as we can maintain a safe connection. That emitter has officially been nullified, which means no more goo is going to spread from there. Now, I'm not worried about all the stuff down over here. I do now want to start pushing over to the east. Okay, we've been able to set up our second totem. We just need to push a little bit further, and we can secure the third. We could go for the bonus objectives and just make sure we actually nullify literally everything, but to be honest, I don't think I'm too worried about doing that. I simply would like to win for the purposes of this video, and everything else is just kind of, optional at this point. So let's just go ahead and push forward a little bit more. And now we're in range to set up a quick tower. As long as we can secure this tower and maintain a connection, we'll be able to deliver our liftic, which means we are going to win this map. The liftic is being delivered from our huge stockpile in the factory. So there it goes right over there. Just needs a little bit more, and that should be it. We're now setting up our little force field. They are connecting, and we have finished our rift. We can jump. Whoosh! And thus ends the map. That took me about 23 minutes. A lot faster than some of the people on this leaderboard over here. Yeah, then this is, again, where if you really want to find, like, the fastest possible way to win a map, that's probably where the main challenge comes in. Let's go ahead and try another one. This should be a little bit different. Okay, so right along here, we can see that there is indeed an emitter over here. Also some weird little things called blob nests, which are going to spawn little blobs that walk over to this kind of temple structure, and every time they arrive, they are going to create a massive wave of the creeper goo. So we're going to want to shut these down ASAP if we want to prevent a huge amount of creeper from spreading throughout the world. There's also these special little things down here called ERN. This is where the game starts introducing the concept of upgrades to make your turrets fight faster, or to have things travel faster, build faster, mine more, etc., etc. So we'll want to come into that, and for that we need to build something called a terp. A terp is how you actually are able to terraform as well in order to build like walls to kind of wall off of the creeper, but I'm not going to worry about that on this particular map. Don't think that I need to. Let's instead choose the high ground once again for rematerializing our base, and of course set up a bit of energy generation so I have plenty of soylent to go around. Kinda like so. We actually have a little battery over here which is helping me build a little bit faster as well, so we'll get the network set up nice and quick. Over here I see the red crystal that we do want in order to start supplying anti-air, so we're going to need to prioritize getting that kinda early on. If we set up a quick little pylon here and then one over here, we can do that. There is a bunch of creeper over here but no source. So I think if we can just have a mortar kind of hammering away at it, eventually it is going to start going away. So let's go ahead and set up ourselves a mortar, or maybe two. We'll just go ahead and start gradually burning this stuff down. In the meantime, let's make sure we also set up a few of these miners, because obviously I would like to be generating a bit of extra resources. This is not exactly the most efficient path I've ever done, but all right. We'll go ahead and get some of those set up. Okay, so the creeper is following these little conduits right over here, which is going to become a problem. One thing I'd love to do early on is possibly set up a couple of little highways of our towers over here. And if we can set up, mess this up a little bit, we can set up a couple of turrets up here on the high ground, like this, maybe we can actually prevent it from spreading too far, which would make my life a lot easier, because then I can just kind of, you know, spread wherever I want out here in this main map, and I wouldn't really have any major issues. So let's go ahead and set up at least a couple of mortars, kind of like this, in range of the main goo. We'll do something kind of like this, and as long as it stays down here and pools up in this low ground, I don't think I'm too worried about it. But it depends on how quickly we can get some of these towers set up, and they do take a while, unfortunately. They do take a while to get set up, at least fast enough if you have one single highway to work with. Slows everything down, don't you know? Slows everything down. Do something kind of like this. There we go. Get some of this all set up, kind of like so. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, we're trying to set this up. We actually do have some mortars and some turrets, so we should be able to shoot all this down before it gets too far, as long as we can supply some ammunition right here. There we go. So this area, at least, is going to be secure. Now the question is, can we secure this point right here? And this is where going fast in the game can be helpful. Reading the terrain, knowing where you want to set up in order to kind of create some choke points can be a huge help. I do see that there's a potential for a little bit to leak out right over here, so we should also try to set up a couple of turrets in this direction, and that would also protect me from having any problems over here. Whoop, okay, so the stuff did spread and just blew up a couple of my turrets. We were not able to supply quite quickly enough. I'm working on it, but not quite getting there fast enough. If we can get some ammunition over here, that would certainly be helpful. Uh-oh. Okay, are we going to be able to do this or not? Get some ammo, quickly! There we go, ammunition. We're able to clear out this mortar right along here. Please deliver. There we go. All right, so the mortar's now going to start delivering some stuff. We need to get a couple more turrets set up, preferably a little further away, where it is safe-ish, so that we can relocate them later. Something like this we'll have to do for the moment, though. We're preventing a lot of the extra creep from getting into the base by just simply attacking right here. So it shouldn't spread too much further than this, as long as we can indeed keep moving forward with my turrets like we are right now. Move forward a little bit more. We could really use some ammunition to get delivered. It's trying to get over here, but you can see we're using up almost as much as we're generating, which is kind of slowing everything down at the moment. Come on, a little bit more. There we go. All right, so now I think we've got this stuff contained. Now we can just start moving forward, and we're going to be fine. Now, we do have a problem where I have not yet had a chance to set up any of the anti-air attacks, so we are actually about to get hit over here, and they're going to spread some goo. If we can get at least a couple of these turrets set up, we'll be able to save it from being too dangerous. You can see it spawn right along over here. If we can get these turrets set up, and they went sploom. Well, that's no good. We're going to have to come back to that. Let's let this land first. Then we can be able to shoot this down like so. Now we need to go ahead and do some damage control and move forward with a couple of these turrets like so. Maybe locate a couple more just to keep it all contained. And now that we actually have managed to push back a lot of this, we can set up another tower over here. We'll start extracting the read-on ore. And if I place down a factory, let's say right over here, it'll get delivered. We'll be able to create some anti-air weapons and set up some missile shields. And that will protect me from that threat for the rest of the game. Okay, and just like that, I think we are now in a secure position. We should be a-okay. Let's make sure we set up a refinery over here so we can gather up some of the green crystal for the purposes of our victory condition. Now let's take a look at one of the new features. We're going to go to one of these terps over here, and we're going to use a couple of these to extract some of the ERN that is currently buried in the ground, and these are going to be some nice little upgrades. So let's get these things built up. Should be able to do so quickly. Let's actually also set up a quick little pylon highway just so we can supply all of our turrets a little bit faster than this. Because, you know, obviously that's a pretty massive wave of creeper if you haven't noticed over here. There goes one of the little blobs, by the way. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff that we're going to have to gradually burn down to the ground. But we can do it. We can do it. And in fact, we're also about to access this little AI core over here. There it is. Thank you. And we've learned how to do the upgrades at the ERN portal. So let's place down one of these kind of like you would with a factory. Oop, getting shot at over here. Kind of messed that one up. Dang, that's going to get really annoying really quickly. All right, let's go ahead and just set up a couple of little turrets and stuff. The good news is it can't exactly go anywhere. It's just a little bit of a goof on my part, but whatever. No biggie. We're going to be completely fine. Here comes another one of these buried ERNs getting excavated with the tarp. Notice, by the way, we have the terraform option down over here. If I wanted to, we could set up some terrain height in a couple areas. Let's say right along here, I want to create a height 8 area like this. Nope, wait, maybe higher? There you go. And just like that, this little terp is going to start sending this thing out to start raising the terrain. Pretty helpful if you want to wall yourself in. I don't particularly care about it, but we can. Right over here, the ERN portal, I'm going to go ahead and increase the fire range of all of our turrets by sending one of these little cubes over here. Also the fire rate, because that seems kind of helpful. So we'll go ahead and improve everything a little bit. But if you want to go really crazy, then what we can do is go to one of these turrets right here, and we can activate an ERN. We want one. That's going to send one of our available cubes, like so, to go get implemented. And just like that, look how fast this thing fires now. It's become a practical machine gun as long as we keep this thing set up. So yeah, if you want to have some supercharged turrets, that's where the ERNs come in handy. Other than that, though, just generic upgrades are always going to be good. Now that we have a couple of supercharged turrets that are able to single-handedly hold down these highways, let's go ahead and start bombing the crud out of this area and see if we can start making a good, strong push down over here. I'd love to set up a few turrets and knock out one of these blob nests so we can finally start denying this thing any more of the creeper. And the answer is yes, we absolutely can, pretty easily it turns out. So let's go ahead and set up another one of those nullifiers, like so, in a good defensible position. And let's start moving forward with the next round of turrets so we can keep this area nice and secure. Slow and easy does it. Okay, we're holding down this little highway right here as a good choke point, which means this area should be getting starved pretty quickly. So now I can start moving forward my souped up turrets, because there's nothing left for me to protect over here. We should be completely secure. And with both of them and their combined might over here, I mean, we can absolutely just dominate this area, shut down the emitter. Then it's a matter of getting down to these last blob nests, and we can win. Nullifier's almost charged, and there it is. All right, we have the beam. The emitter's shutting down. And that should greatly slow down some of the creeper production. Now I'm going to start working my way down the corners. You can see how quickly they're getting pushed back now, by the way. We're going to start working down the corners and see if we can find a highway to get over here to these blob nests. There we go. That should shut down those spore launchers. Fun fact, you can hear a weird noise right now. That's because we have met our objective to claim enough of the map that we are going to be able to launch the delegate, which is just an optional objective. Not absolutely crucial. Honestly, I don't even know how this is an optional objective, because I feel like the only way to even get to these totems in the first place, you're going to get this every time. So, seems like kind of a natural consequence, but all right. Let's go ahead and set up one of these pylons like so. Another one here, and then we should be able to safely set up a nullifier right here, and that's going to turn off the blobs, and with no more creeper production, we are going to easily win. In fact, we should now be able to just go ahead and set up a couple of towers like this. We've already managed to deliver the lift tick to 2 of the totems out of the 4 that we need. This nullifier is not quite done. It's being supplied by ammunition at the moment. Once done, that'll shut that down for the extra objective. The tower's already done, the lift tick is going to be delivered, and we have effectively won. Good lord, stupid blobs! Where's this all come from? There's the objective complete. All right, lift tick is almost set, and that will complete another map of Creeper World. So yeah, you get a sense of how this works, and every map is going to be a bit different in the campaign and trying to introduce new concepts, new mechanics in the game, which is nice. They do gradually kind of ease you into things, which is fun. Again, though, a big part of the game is just kind of a big game of tug-of-war. Once you get yourself fairly well set up, there shouldn't be a whole lot that can get in your way if you are secure, so the only real challenge to the game at that point is to go for the fastest victory possible and race the other players to try and get toward the top of the leaderboard. That could be fun if you're into that. Otherwise, it's a fairly chill little tower defense, and you can just kind of blow stuff up, you know, fight back the goo and win. Thank you all very much for watching. I do hope that you enjoyed this video. If so, then I would ask that you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.